I want to bring in MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady to kind of break down the president's visit now with the Fed chair, and certainly an interesting interaction between the two as they were walking through the renovations that were occurring. And he delivered remarks kind of specifically talking about how much the renovations were, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell kind of shaking his head no. Let's look at this first, and then I want to circle back with you on your take on it.
Why?
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building,
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
Mr. President, does the issue give you any? As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways...
All right, this is a rare visit, the president visiting the reserve and talking with Jerome Powell. And I want to bring in Kelly now to talk more about this relationship between the two and what you observed in that particular interaction.
Well, kudos to that reporter for asking that question about what he would have done in his real estate career, because I think that was a moment, of course, that we're all sort of wondering, you know, if they do feel like there's some sort of cost overrun, is that what the White House could use for cause? Remember, we talked about that earlier, that the president can't fire Jerome Powell unless there is cause. I mean, watching that interaction, it definitely felt very tense between these two men here, two very important leaders. Trump, of course, has been criticizing Jerome Powell when it comes to interest rates. There was actually a little bit right after that interaction as they walked up the stairs where the president was asked, well, you know, is there anything that would essentially make you happy or make you change your mind? He said, yeah, if we could lower interest rates. And so that sort of seems to be a recurring theme. But the particular clip that you played, there does seem to be a discrepancy in terms of how the White House is thinking about the cost overrun versus how the Fed is. Remember, originally it was supposed to be under $2 billion. Then it was up to 2.5. Then there was this over $3 billion figure that was thrown out in that conversation and that letter, essentially, that Trump shared with Jerome Powell in that clip. And Chair Powell is saying, no, you're thinking about it totally wrong. That's a different building. That's a third building that's already been completed. We shouldn't be counting that in the cost overrun. So clearly some miscommunication, some different ways of thinking about the numbers. But generally speaking, Jules, when I was watching that, I was like, wow, this is incredibly tense interaction that these two men are having, and certainly one that we've all been wanting to see on camera for quite some time.
Absolutely. They gave us a look in at that relationship and them discussing it, which was quite remarkable in its own right. But, you know, Fed Chair Jerome Powell is very stoic in his own right. So he's going to play it pretty calm, I would imagine, throughout the entire interaction. So did that not surprise you?
No, it didn't. Fed Chair Powell is sort of known as giving not much. And even when he opened that note and he was sort of looking at it, I mean, I know myself, I would be searching for numbers trying to understand what I'm being presented with. He really stayed calm in that moment. That's how he is in the press conferences, even when we as reporters are pressing him, are asking him, would you step down? What do you think of the president's comments? They certainly have very different approaches in terms of how they talk to the media and how they're talking about this particular renovation and interest rates as well. We'll likely hear from the president potentially at some point, whether it's on Truth Social or, in front of the camera again, but definitely a sort of different approach to how they're talking about this. But I wasn't surprised. I mean, that's sort of Fed Chair Powell's vibe, his MO. He's always playing things pretty close to the belt, Jules.
Yeah, absolutely. But he certainly did shake his head when the president came out with that figure in the billions, and he really looked at him saying, no, that's not right. And we do know that throughout this hour, they will be doing 3 stops at the reserve. In fact, Kelly, I believe he's talking right now. So let's take that live, and we'll circle back with you. Let's take his remarks.
So we had great luck with the building. We did a good job. We built it quickly and relatively inexpensively for about $200 million. And that was a big hotel, big project. But we looked around, and Tim Scott's here someplace. Tim, come on up. You saw what we saw, and the big thing is to get it done. They have to get it done. They have to get it finished. And very importantly, we have to get interest rates lowered in our country. Our country is the hottest in the world right now, but the one section, people are pretty much unable to buy housing because the interest rates are too high. We have no inflation. We have a lot of cash coming in. The tariffs have been unbelievable. Now, people that didn't even believe in tariffs are saying, what a great move that was. We have hundreds now, but the one section, people are pretty much unable to buy housing because the interest rates are too high. We have no inflation. We have a lot of cash coming in. The tariffs have been unbelievable. Now, people that didn't even believe in tariffs are saying, what a great move that was. We have hundreds of billions of dollars coming in. Japan, just on one deal, is paying us $550 billion. And they opened up their economy. It's incredible, the deal. And they're happy, we're happy, everybody's happy, but we should have the lowest interest rate of any country, and we don't. We should have. Every point is worth $365 billion. So we want to get the rates down, but we also want to get the Fed building finished. So I met with the contractors, we toured it with the chairman, and we had a very good tour, and we'll talk to you about it sometime, but Tim and I, we sort of understand what happened.
Too expensive. Bottom line is this, that Americans deserve to become first-time home buyers. President Trump has created the best economy in the world. The one thing that would make it better is lower interest rates. Full employment is even more possible. Wages rise faster as interest rates come down when your employment is at 4.1% because of your leadership. We have revenues coming in at record-breaking, maybe last month even more revenue coming in than bills going out, which is remarkable.
They found $26 billion. They said, where did that come from? Nobody, I think that's been many decades since that happened.
I can't remember that.
They found $26 billion last month, and they said, where did that come from? I said, why don't you try the tariff? Said it was true. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and our country is doing great, and we have no inflation, and the numbers, the job, everything is good. The one thing we have to do is get housing prices down and the interest rates down so people can buy the house, because they're all making money, but they can't get the interest rate down. We have to.
Amen.
All right. And he's been my friend for a long
You've been
time.
on a number of construction sites. Did you see mismanagement going on or funds that aren't?
Well, I see a very luxurious situation taking place. Let's put it that way. And I was given a very nice tour by the head of construction. And, look, if you look over here, they're trying to open up the basement. When you open up a basement, first of all, it's the worst space. Always a basement is the worst space in a building. And it's also the most expensive space to build. And especially here because you have a water line. They're going down into the water, so they have to build what's called a reverse bathtub. The water has to be kept out. It's very expensive construction. So it would have been good if they didn't build it. Would have been good if they didn't do certain other things. If you look at the kind of protection in the hall, have you been able to get in the hall? You saw the protection of plywood. I mean, that was a lot of money just to protect it for a period of time. I would have done it very gingerly and easily and not have to spend, millions of dollars on protection. And there are things that could have been different. Look, there's always Monday morning quarterbacks. I don't want to be that. I want to help them get it finished. It's been going on for years, and I want to help them get it finished. And what we really want to do, and I think I can speak for Tim, and I think I can speak for the entire Senate, we can speak for everybody, frankly, is we want to see interest rates come down. Our country is booming, and the interest rates is a final little notch. And if you look at Europe, they've lowered 11 times in a short period of time. We've lowered 0. And, they are competition, although we're in the process of probably making a very good deal with them, too. They want to make a deal very badly. So we're making a deal. We just completed our deal with Indonesia. We just completed our deal with the Philippines. We're making unbelievable deals, and the money is pouring in. We want to get interest rates down.
But on interest rates, at some point, does the level of interest rates now slow economic growth?
Yeah, it never helps it if it's high. It never helps it. Well, it's already as good as we're doing. Think of how well we'd be doing. We'd be like a rocket ship. As good as we're doing, we'd do better if we had lower interest rates. And we should. We're prime. Don't forget, without us, the whole world collapses. So we should have the lowest interest rate because, you can talk about Switzerland, you can talk about wonderful countries, no debt, but without us, everything collapses. We should have the lowest interest rate. And if you took it down 3 points, not a little bit, but 3 points, if you got us down to 1, we would save more than $1 trillion, basically with just a paper transfer. You wouldn't be cutting costs of anything. You wouldn't be building anything. Just a move of the hand saying we're going to lower interest rates. You would save $1 trillion a year. And there's nothing you can do to save that kind of money. Well, we had a little talk about it, and I thought it was a very productive talk. He'll be able to tell you at his next meeting, but I will say that he did say the country is doing really well. And the country is really doing well. Yeah, please, go ahead.
President Trump at this hour, live remarks, as you can see, taking questions right now. He is doing a rare visit to the Federal Reserve. Earlier, he was with Jerome Powell. They were walking through the renovated building. I don't see Powell in the backdrop there, but he continually talks about wanting to lower interest rates. President Trump does. So I want to bring in Kelly O'Grady now to talk about this. Could this visit and all of us getting this front row seat to this rare visit push Powell to actually lower interest rates or not?
Well, look, the Federal Reserve is supposed to be separate. So you would hope that this visit wouldn't push the central bank and that they would be looking at the data. And that's really where investors are concerned, that if this were to push Powell to lower rates, or you were to have the president step in and fire Powell for cause, that's where you have the White House getting too close to the Federal Reserve, which has traditionally been separate, so that they can make these monetary policy decisions, these interest rate decisions, agnostic of any political pressure. Now, we're going to get an interest rate decision next week, and every analyst, investor that I have talked to is expecting the Fed to hold that benchmark interest rate steady. And despite what the president is saying, and Senator Scott there, of course, talking as well, yes, the labor market is doing well. It's slowing down, but it's not falling off a cliff. We've seen inflation tick up slightly, but the concern is what happens in the next 3 to 6 months, especially when you have those tariff rates kicking in higher. He mentioned a number of deals that the White House has made with a number of different countries. But remember, all of those deals mean a higher tariff rate than we have seen since April. It's sort of been that baseline 10% agnostic of China. And so it would follow that if you're going to have a higher tariff rate, you and I might see higher prices because businesses are paying higher costs to bring that into the country. All to say, the Fed is looking at all of this, and they're sort of taking that wait and see approach. And I don't think that this visit is going to put the pressure on for next week. There's already been talk and the market pricing in an interest rate cut come September. But next week, I think you're going to end up just seeing that benchmark interest rate stay steady, even with all of the talk from the president today about wanting to see rates lower for home price or for home buying, as well as the national debt.
Yeah, he's certainly putting the push on. All right, Kelly O'Grady. Kelly, thank you so much. Great insight.